Hi there. Welcome to a series of videos called English for Emerson. This is a channel where we work on the English language. We worked our way through all the ABCs and now we're starting to work on writing questions. The last time that we did a question, it was, how are you? And we answered, I am fine. Today's question is going to be, do you understand? This is a question you have to ask a lot, especially if you're talking to someone who speaks a different language. And so it can be quite amusing to try to figure out if we can understand each other. So I've got a funny story about this. When I was a kid, we had a farm, and my dad, Emerson's grandpa Chuck, he was a big time builder. In fact, when he was a young guy, he started off working in business and finance, which is where you are kind of like a banker. You lend people money and then they pay you back. And this is what he worked in. He did not like it. And eventually he had, when I was about maybe 7 years old, about Emerson's age right now, he decided to have a mountain cabin built up by Mount Hood in Oregon by a guy named John. And this guy, my dad watched him build this mountain cabin. And when the guy was done, my dad said, hey, how about I quit my job in finance and I come work with you and learn how to build stuff? I always wanted to learn how to build houses. And the guy said, sure, come on, let's go. Let's do it. And so Grandpa Chuck went out and started building houses. Here's a picture of Emerson's Grandpa Chuck. Now, I can't tell if it's too close or too far away. He's got a fish there. So it's a funny story. When I was a kid, we had a barn. And we had some sheep and some horses. And my dad would go in there and work on the barn. He would build stuff in there with hammers and wood and nails and a saw. And he would go in there on weekends and build things in the barn. And the sheep would be out in the field outside the barn. And my dad would open up the big barn door to let the air and the light in because it was dark inside the barn. It helped to have this big door open to have the sunlight come in. And naturally, the sheep would be out in the field and they wanted to come in the barn wherever there was shade. My dad would be in there building and the sheep, they would come in where he was working and he would say, get out, get out. They would all run out. And then eventually, several minutes later, after a while, they'd start to come back toward the barn to get in there. He would stop, get out, get out. So he did this several times. One day he was chasing the sheep out of the barn. And finally, I was out there riding a horse or something. And I hear Grandpa Chuck, he chased the sheep out of the barn again. And he said, don't you understand English? We had to tell Grandpa Chuck later that sheep don't understand English. Sheep don't understand much of anything. But I'll never forget it. Oh my gosh. So, do you understand is what we're going to write today. You need to have a piece of paper with lines on it going side to side. When we do a capital letter, we're going to use up the space between three lines. So when I write the word do, I'm going to start with a capital D. We begin the sentence with a capital. I start from the top line and go straight down to the bottom line. Right through the middle line. Do you see that there? From the top through the middle, right down to the bottom. Then I'm going to go back up to the top where I started and make a loop down to the bottom line. Do you see that? That is a capital D. Now the word do is not D-U. You'd think it would be, but that's English. This is going to be D-O. D-O spells do. It doesn't spell dough. It spells do. When I make a lowercase o, the next letter is going to be lowercase. I'm going to go from the middle line counterclockwise. Counterclockwise is the opposite of the hands of the clock. From the right to the left. down to the bottom, back up. There's the word do, D-O. Now, the next word in this is going to be you. Do you. That's going to start with a Y, and this is going to be lowercase. So all the rest of the words in this are going to be, all the rest of the letters in this are going to be lowercase. Only the first letter in the sentence is going to be capitalized. The Y starts the word you. We did this before when we said, how are you? The lowercase y is going to make from the middle on the diagonal down to the bottom, like that. Then we're going to go back up to the middle and meet it at the bottom line and go straight through like that. The lowercase u, very important, goes below the bottom line. It's going to be the only letter in this sentence that goes below the bottom line. The next letter in the word you is going to be an O. We already did that one, so we know about that. Very good. And then the next letter in the word you is going to be a letter U. We start at the midline. We go down to the bottom, back up. And then I put a little tail on it from the midline down. Just like that. And that right there spells do you. And now we've got a long word in front of us here. That's going to be understand. You know, the word understand is strange. If you think about it, it has two parts to it. Under, like the chair is under the table, and then stand, like I am standing here. Understand. Now, how in the world does understand mean do you get it? Because that's what understand means, is do you get it? Do you get me? How in the world does standing under something mean to understand it? I don't know. But I looked this up on Google, and it's, in fact, this word comes from a German word. And I don't know anything about German, but a lot of English words come from other languages. So I think the origins of that word meant something different in a different language, because it really doesn't make any sense. To stand under something means to get it. Maybe it could, but it doesn't make much sense to me. Here we go with the word understand. Starts with a U. You can make the sound under. Under. The letter U can make that sound Here we go. I'm going to start on the next lines down because I ran out of room up here. I'm starting out at the midline, going down to the bottom and up. Do you see that? I'm starting at the midline. I'm not starting at the top. And I'm putting my little tail on it. Okay. So, understand starts with a U. The next letter is going to be, think about this if you listen to it, under. Do you hear the next letter? Under. I hope that you hear the N. Start at the midline, straight down, make one hill, up to the midline and down. That right there spells un. Now we listen to it again. We got to listen real good. Under. Under. Do you hear the D in the next letter? Under. I hear the D. This is going to be lowercase. We're going to start by making a lowercase c below the midline. You see that? Then we go to the top line and we go straight down and connect it all. And that is a lowercase d. Isn't it incredible how different the lowercase d is than the uppercase? They don't look anything alike. English is strange. Now, we got und, and then we got to do under. Under. Do you hear the I do. Usually the sound is made with an ER, and that's why we're going to do it here. We start with an E. That's going to be midway between the middle and the bottom line. We go up to the middle, and we work our way around. There we go. That's a real nice lowercase e. And the next letter is going to be an R, lowercase r. Start at the midline, and then we do a little hill and stop. There we go. Very good. That right there spells under. Do you under? We got to finish it off now. Stand. Long word, understand. Stand. So let's listen to that. Understand. Understand. Do you hear the S? I do. Understand. It's an S is the next one. The S is the hardest letter to write in English, I think. We start over here below the midline and we work our way back toward ourselves. We pull it back up to the midline. Then we come down and we wrap it around. That's not bad. Not great. Not bad. Now we got the next letter. We have to think about it. Understand. Do you hear the T? T for Texas. Understand. I hear the T. We start below the top line to do a lowercase t. Below the top line. And straight down. Not all the way to the top. Not all the way down to the middle. Kind of in between. Wherever you want that. In between the top and the middle. Then we cross it right at the midline. Very good. Now we have to go back and think about it again. Oh man, we got to keep going back and thinking about it. Now we got understand. Oh, I hear an and. Do you hear the and? Understand. We know that the and is made by the letters A, N, D. And. Okay, here we go. We're going to do an A. The beginning of a lowercase a is kind of like a lowercase c. We start just below the middle line. And then we connect it from the midline down and make a little tail. Good. A-N-D. We got another N in here. Straight down from the middle, one hill, and down. And last, a D. And. A-N-D. Start with like making a lowercase c. Connect it down from the top line. Straight down. Very good. Do you understand? I hope so. Now, because this is a question, we end it with a question mark, which is kind of a new thing for us. We start this below the top line and go up to the top line. And then we come back down and stop below the middle line. Then we put a dot right down here at the bottom. Very good. That's really nicely done. I hope yours looks good. I hope yours looks even better than mine. Do you understand? In our next lesson, we're going to answer this question. Both yes and no. Okay, there you go with English for Emerson. I hope you understand. See you next time. Bye-bye.